If the Players Association believes that Adam Silver is going to cave, they are wrong. Let's get into this story, man. It says, while the WNBA owners and players continue to negotiate a new collective bargaining agreement, stars are peeling off for competing leagues. The longer both leagues continue to happen, according to Meadowlark Media commentator David Sampson, the greater chance that the WNBA goes away completely. Like,
Look, this isn't just dramatic talk for clicks. We're talking about David Sampson here, a guy who actually ran MLB operations and knows how these boardroom decisions get made. He's straight up saying the WNBA could completely disappear if these contract talks blow up. And when you look at what's actually happening right now, his warning starts making a lot more sense. Caitlin Clark's everywhere doing commercials and showing up in Taylor Swift docs, but the league she's supposed to dominate might not even exist much longer.
WNBA, Sampson said, but that won't be the end of the world for them because they have options. Now, we've seen these players talking about these options that they have. We've seen them signing. WNBPA president Nneka Ogwumike signs with Project B in the middle of CBA negotiations. Board members are co-founders of Unrivaled and have equity stake in Unrivaled. I mean, it's a lot going on. They have been very open and public about flexing their muscle.
So here's what's really going down. WNBA players just voted to give their union the power to shut everything down. Almost every single player said yes to authorizing a strike. The current deal runs out January 9th, and that's when things get real. But this isn't your typical labor standoff, because these players actually have somewhere else to go. Unrivaled just kicked off their second season on TNT, and they're paying better money than what the WNBA was putting on the table before their latest offer. Then you've got Project B rolling around with Saudi backing, throwing seven-figure deals at top players. And get this, Nneka Ogwumike, who's literally the head of the WNBA Players Union, just signed with Project B while she's supposed to be fighting for better WNBA contracts. The timing on that is wild. The person leading negotiations for the WNBA just took money from their competition. That's not playing hardball. That's sending a message.
CBA, that way you can get back to the table in 3 years instead of a 5-year CBA. This is all a part of the give and take and the compromise. He says they oversold how much they can get done in one single CBA. Rather, by wearing strongly worded t-shirts during the All-Star break, calling out the commissioner, or demanding a higher portion of league revenue, WNBA players have been bold and public with their complaints. And the players have also made no secret of their ability to compete and be compensated elsewhere. The second season of Unrivaled.
Sampson's point cuts right to the heart of it. If you're some billionaire thinking about starting your own women's basketball league, this is literally the perfect moment. Every WNBA player is basically available right now during these talks. They all need to get paid, they all want bigger checks, and they're openly showing they'll jump ship for better deals. The WNBA has never been this exposed to getting their entire roster picked apart. But there's something players might not be calculating correctly here.
The 3-on-3 league out of Miami that airs games on TNT and pays more on average than the WNBA begins January 5th. Now that salary was higher than the WNBA's prior to the WNBA's most recent offers. It's set to begin January 5th, and a Saudi-backed traveling international league called Project B has recently begun signing stars, including union president Nneka Ogwumike, to 7-figure contracts. This was a quote: "If you had any ability to invest and you want to start a league to compete with the WNBA, this is the time. Every player is a free agent.
The owners don't." The brutal truth is that most NBA owners probably don't lose sleep over whether the WNBA survives or not. That's the harsh reality Sampson's laying out. These are people worth billions who run WNBA teams like side hobbies. If the whole league disappeared tomorrow, they'd still be billionaires running their profitable NBA franchises. They don't lose anything that actually hurts their bottom line or business empire. The players, though, they lose their main stage. They lose Nike endorsement chances tied to playing at the highest level, and they lose the entire system that makes women's basketball visible across America. That's not a fair fight. That's lopsided power dynamics, and it works in the owner's favor no matter what players think about their backup option.
All of them want money and need money. Sampson said, if you have a well-capitalized and well-funded business, that could be the end of the WNBA. If a majority of players were to collectively flee to a competitor, the WNBA as we know it could cease to exist. While Sampson stated that he does not believe players are making a mistake by pushing hard for sweeping changes in these talks, he does not believe that owners will budge, which means that if players value the geography and structure of playing in the NBA-owned American League, they may have to accept less than what they are calling for. If the Players Association believes Adam Silver is going to cave, they are wrong, he added. But I will be very careful being cocky if I'm WNBA Players Association. Owners don't care. If the WNBA folds, they will be just fine.
Now look. Notice who's not jumping to these other leagues, though. Caitlin Clark and A'ja Wilson, probably the two biggest names in women's basketball anywhere in the world. Both are locked into the WNBA exclusively. Both have massive Nike deals that almost definitely require them to play in the league with the most eyeballs and media coverage. Clark turned down Unrivaled. She's not entertaining Project B money. Wilson's in the exact same spot. That should tell you what the real superstars think about the WNBA's actual value. They're putting their entire careers on the bet that this league survives and grows, not that these startup alternatives are the future. But here's the uncomfortable reality. What happens if everyone around them forces a strike or pushes negotiations so hard that owners just say forget it and walk away completely?
The Caitlin Clark takeover continues, even in the middle of the CBA negotiations, which has been an absolute circus and a clown show. Caitlin Clark is still going viral all over the country. We saw her at the Annika. We've seen her in commercials. We've seen her taking over everywhere, and it continues. We got to break all of this down. Welcome to Keep the Vision. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe, share the channel, hit that bell notification, and hype the video.
Meanwhile, Clark's taking over everything regardless of this behind-the-scenes chaos. She's at the Indy Classic at Gainbridge Fieldhouse taking pictures with fans at some Purdue Northwestern Butler thing. She pops up in Taylor Swift's Eras Tour documentary. She's doing State Farm spots and Gatorade campaigns. Her visibility doesn't depend on whatever's happening with these CBA talks right now, but her long-term career path absolutely does. The weird contrast between her momentum off the court and the league's instability creates this strange situation where the WNBA's biggest draw is exploding in popularity while the league itself might be negotiating its way into non-existence.
And that is I don't see the owners caving like that. I really don't. For now, the WNBPA and team owners continue to negotiate in good faith. They appear quite far apart on many topics, but are trading counter proposals while largely remaining respectful in public commentary. No, they are not remaining respectful. The WNBA came out and called the WNBPA liars publicly. They said that these ladies are lying about the state of our negotiations. They're acting like we're not putting in fair offers. We are putting in good quality, fair offers in good faith. This is what the WNBA came out and said about the WNBPA, who made it seem like the negotiations were in a horrible state. They weren't getting closer. They were just so far apart. And the WNBA came in and called them liars publicly.
This is where the PR battle gets really ugly. The WNBA came out and flat out said the players were lying about negotiations. Not mistaken, not seeing things differently. They said the players were lying about how talks were going. The league claimed they were making good faith offers, reasonable proposals, and actually making progress. The players made it sound like negotiations were stuck, the league wasn't moving, and the gap was massive. Somebody's not telling the truth about what's happening in that room, and when you have the league publicly calling the union liars during delicate negotiations, that's not keeping things respectful behind closed doors like some reports suggested. That's all out war.
And ultimately, we need things sorted out. We got to get things sorted out in the league that she's actually plays in, because she's not playing in Unrivaled. She's not playing in Project B. She says she wants to play in the WNBA, so we need to get that sorted out. Let's get it sorted out. Here it says, David Sampson predicts WNBA could fold.
This is exactly why Clark's comment about compromise ended up mattering more than people thought when she said it. She basically said, get something done, make it a 3-year deal instead of 5 years, and come back to negotiate again sooner rather than trying to fix everything in one contract cycle. That's actually smart strategy. The players' union oversold what they could get done in a single round of talks. They wore message t-shirts during All-Star Weekend. They called out Commissioner Kathy Engelbert in public. They demanded a bigger slice of league revenue. All of that is absolutely their right as workers negotiating their contract. But Sampson's warning is that they might have pushed too hard. If the Players Association thinks Adam Silver, who oversees the WNBA as NBA commissioner, is going to fold under pressure, they're wrong. Silver doesn't have to fold. The NBA doesn't need the WNBA to keep existing. It's been propping up the league financially for years. If players force a work stoppage or make demands that don't match the league's actual money situation, Silver can just let it die. And here's the thing about leverage in negotiations. It only works if the other side actually needs what you're threatening to take away. Do NBA owners need the WNBA? No. Do WNBA players need the WNBA? Absolutely. That's the basic imbalance that all the unrivaled contracts and Project B money can't fix. Those leagues are experiment. The WNBA, for all its problems and money struggles, is the established platform with network TV deals, Nike partnerships, and connection to the NBA's entire system. You can't just recreate that overnight with Saudi money and TNT broadcast. Players who are betting on these alternative leagues as long-term solutions might be making a massive mistake about what happens if the WNBA actually disappears. Because if it folds, those alternative leagues lose their main source of talent, their credibility as competitors to an established league, and the whole ecosystem that makes women's basketball work commercially in the first place. Sampson's prediction about the WNBA potentially folding isn't trying to scare anyone. It's a realistic look at what happens when workers in a financially shaky industry overestimate their power against owners who don't actually need that industry to exist. The players are acting like they're NBA players negotiating with owners who depend on basketball money to stay wealthy. They're not. They're negotiating with billionaires who run the WNBA as a side project and tax write-off. That's not a judgment about whether players deserve more money. They probably do. It's a cold look at negotiating dynamics and power structures, and right now the players are acting like they have leverage they don't actually have. The strike authorization vote was almost unanimous. That shows unity, but it also shows they're ready to walk away from the table if demands aren't met. The problem is the owners can walk away too, and if both sides walk away, the league doesn't take a break, it dies. So where does this leave everything? The deadline is January 9th. Players have authorized a strike. The league and union are publicly contradicting each other about how negotiations are going. Stars are signing with competing leagues, and the two biggest names in the sport are noticeably staying loyal to the WNBA while everyone around them explores alternative. Caitlin Clark will be fine, no matter what. Her endorsement deals and cultural impact go way beyond the league, but the hundreds of other players who depend on WNBA paychecks and the platform it provides, they're gambling their careers on the belief that owners will back down first. History suggests that's a bad bet. Owners always have more money, more patience, and more options than workers do. That's true in every industry, and women's basketball isn't exempt from that reality just because the cause is right. The next 2 weeks will determine whether the WNBA survives 20. That's not dramatic exaggeration. That's the actual stakes of these negotiations. And if players push this to a strike, they better be ready for the possibility that owners just shut it down rather than meet demands that don't align with the league's financial basic. Like Sampson said, if you're a well-funded investor looking to start a competing league, this is your moment. Every player is available, everyone wants more money, and the established established league might be about to negotiate itself out of existence. So the question for players becomes, was this power play worth it? Are the demands realistic, given what the league actually brings in? And are they prepared for the possibility that this gamble ends with no WNBA at all? Because that's a real outcome now. Not likely, maybe, but possible in a way it's never been before. And once that happens, you can't just restart the league when everyone realizes the alternatives weren't actually better. The dissolution is permanent.